So what do I think the top 5 businesses are going to be coming into 2025 that you can start with low cost, low startup fees, low advertising costs, maybe even no advertising costs? Well, as far as I'm concerned, I think that service-based businesses are going to go crazy in 2025. Service-based businesses have always done well, especially trades. In Rome, even going back that far, if you could work stone, you always had a job, right? It's not probably, a guy that does dry stone right now is doing, you could do 7 figures a year with that. I don't think they was doing that in Rome, but you get my point. You could think of a trade like gold. Gold has always held value. Having unique trade skills have always held value throughout time, throughout history. These things have always been important. If you're standing in the woods and you're cold and you're the only guy in the woods that can start a fire, well, you're the most important guy in the woods, right? So I think the trades are going to thrive. I think the trades are going to do really well in 2025. I've worked a trade my entire life, pretty much. I've been in trades my entire life. And by trades I mean, masonry, electrical, plumbing, gas line. These are trades. These are trade skills. Framing, drywall, painting. These are all trades. A lot of them are very easy to get into. A lot of them aren't so easy, but not all of them. So trades and service-based businesses, I think, are going to do really well. And if you're looking to start a business in 2025, that is definitely what I would go with. A lot of other markets are saturated right now. AI is going to change a lot of things. AI isn't going to go and replace people's light switches. AI isn't going to go and detail people's cars. There's going to need to be a person for that. And so trades will continue to have value for a very, very long time. So this list is basically going to be the top 5 businesses that I think would do well in 2025, and they're all going to be a service, right? So the first business, I think, is car detailing. I'm going to put out a video that I did a couple days ago about how to start a business if you worked 5 days a week in car detailing. I kind of focused on that to a certain extent. I focused on car detailing, mobile car detailing in particular, because you can make a lot of money doing it. The thing about car detailing is that most of the tools that you're using to detail a car, you would use to clean your house. So if you have a house or an apartment and you clean it, then you have most of the things that you need right off the bat to get into car detailing. You might have to buy a couple things, but the things that you would need to buy are not going to be, they're not going to be expensive. It's not going to come at a high cost. You could do it well under $1,000, under $500, I would say, starting up. Even with an advertising campaign for a month, I think that you could do it under $500. Especially, I'm assuming though that you have basic cleaning utensils for your home that you can use starting off in car detailing. I don't really want to go and clean other people's cars. I'm sure you probably don't either, but you want a business, and that's a good one. And you don't have to do that your entire life. You don't have to pass down a car detailing company to your kids, But if you can do it to gain capital and to get into other things, then that is more of the kind of goal, or the way I would see it. Now, you could also take a car detailing company and scale it. There's a lot of scalability with a car detailing company. The good thing about it is that it doesn't require extremely skilled labor. So to find employees and to find other people that will go and clean cars for you, they basically just have to show up on time and not be idiots, and they'll get it done. So I think car detailing is a good one. I think that, the video that I did about how to start a business if you work 5 days a week that I haven't even put out yet is, I kind of went over car detailing is a main one, just because I think that you could do 6 figures a year detailing cars, even if you're just doing it on the weekends. Even if you're working a full-time job, I think that you can still do 6 figures. I still think you can hit $100,000 a year detailing cars. You're not going to be able to do it if you're detailing cars for 2 hours on a Saturday, right? But if you treat it like a job, 8 to 10 hours a day, Saturday and Sunday, I think that you could probably hit 6 figures. Being able to hit 6 figures with a business that you're just doing on the weekends is a pretty cool thing, and it's not out of the realm of possibility. It's not even close to it. It's not something, it seems crazy, to some people. All right, so enough about car detailing. I think that you get the point. I feel strongly that you could do well with it. You know, at the end of the day, all of this is up to you. Another business that I know is doing well already in 2025, I own a business that focuses on this, is Roof Savers. A lot of people don't even know what Roof Saver is, but it's gaining traction faster and faster, and it's going to do well. It's going to continue to do well. The Roof Saver application basically gives life back to old shingles, right? It seals shingles so that they can last a little bit longer. Roof Saver isn't the equivalent to a new roof. It's not anywhere close. It's not as good as a new roof, not by any means. It also costs 1/10 what a new roof costs, and it also can be done in a couple or a few hours, depending on the house. If it's a small ranch house, 1,500 to 2,000 square foot ranch with a nice gentle pitch, you can apply a Roof Saver by yourself and in 2 hours and make $1,000. And the material cost would be, $150 for that, plus fuel, and depending on if you're advertising or not. But so I have 2 crews of guys that are going out around, not right now because it's winter in Ohio, but we're already booked up for almost all of 2025. We have jobs scheduled 5 days a week all the way into August, I think. I would have to look, but to do a full tear off, replace some sheeting, and reshingle a roof, you're well over $20,000 for most houses. But the thing about the Roof Saver is that if somebody comes out and gives you a $25,000, $30,000 estimate on your roof, that's a little bit difficult for you. In most cases, most people don't have $25,000, $30,000 sitting aside to do it. That's why roofers offer financing. If you look at the interest rates on financing a roof, they're astronomical. And so if you don't want to go through that, if you don't want that astronomical interest rate, but you need a roof on your house, a Roof Saver can give people, 5 years, and it can be applied 3 times. So potentially 15 years in extra life on your roof, and during that time you can save up money to have a new roof put on. And so that's kind of the idea behind Roof Saver. Every time I talk about it, it seems like I'm trying to sell it to you. I'm not trying to sell you a Roof Saver, all right? I'm not. We're pretty well booked up. But what I am saying though is that it's a fantastic business. The only thing that you need to start it is a ladder and a paint roller. That's all that you need to start a Roof Saver business in 2025. A vehicle, you also do need a vehicle. If you don't have a vehicle, then you probably shouldn't be trying to start a business, and you should buy a vehicle, because a reliable vehicle is going to make you money if you choose to let it. But my Roof Saver company, I think that we'll hit 7 figures this year. I think that we'll hit $1 million doing Roof Savers. Now that's $1 million full gross, right? I'm paying people to do it full time. My profits from that are not going to be anywhere close to that. To be honest, the guys that are out doing it are going to make more throughout the year than I'm going to make net at the end of the year. But they're the ones doing the work, and they're the guys that are going and doing the estimates. They're the ones that are handling pretty much all of it. So, but I mean, man, I guarantee that you can make $250,000 in a year doing Roof Savers full time just by yourself, without help, without employees. All that you need is a car and a roller, and your overhead costs are going to be next to nothing, and that's $250,000. I think you can do that net. I almost guarantee that you can do it before taxes, which apparently, taxes are about to be a thing of the past. That would be fancy, I'll tell you. I don't know about it, but it almost sounds too good to be true. I'm here for it though, whatever. You could even pick ranch houses if you're afraid of heights, or you're not comfortable getting up on a 3-story 40-foot roof. You could just do ranch houses. You're not going to make as much money, but you'll still make a lot. Another really cool thing about this Roof Saver application is that not a lot of people are doing it. I think that's going to change though. I think that more and more people are going to start to do it, and I noticed a lot more people starting it in 2024, and so I think that that's going to continue. But there's not a ton of companies out there that are specifically doing Roof Savers. So I don't know, depending on your area, there might not be anybody else in the area that's offering that service. So it could be something to look into. I know that it's going to do well in 2025, and I know that you could do well with it in almost any area, almost any demographics, as long as you're willing to do it. I would say roof savers would be number 2. I think that it's actually should be number 1 technically. I think that it's the best potential, but it's the second one I'm talking about. So it's number 2. Number 3, I think, is a handyman service. And a lot of people get intimidated by the idea of a handyman service. You know, they think that it's doing some complex repairs or construction. It's really not. People will hire you to screw in light bulbs. People will hire you to replace a light switch. People will hire you to install a light fixture. People will hire you to mount a TV to the wall. You know, these are all very basic things, and if you don't know how to do them, it's not a big deal. If you're willing to learn, you know, if you have a stud finder, you can mount a TV to the wall. If you know how to find a stud without a stud finder, then you can mount a TV to the wall. And if you don't have a stud finder, you can go and buy one for $12 and start mounting TVs to the wall and make a lot of money doing it. There are handyman services out there right now, independent people, sole proprietors, individuals that do $400,000 a year driving around and fixing stuff. And the majority of this is very, very basic. I mean, and the thing about it is if it's not basic, if somebody calls you and says, you know, that they have some project that you're not comfortable taking on, you don't have to take it on, because it's your business. You don't have a boss that's telling you, hey, you have to do this. You don't have to take the job, right? But don't be intimidated by the idea of a handyman service. There are people that will pay you, like I said, to screw in a light bulb. It's as simple as that. I don't think they're going to pay you a ton of money to screw in a light bulb, but it's also screwing in a light bulb. So, you know, if you don't know how to screw in a light bulb, then, you know, you probably shouldn't be trying to start a business. I hate to say it. Actually, I don't, because that's ridiculous. If you don't know how to install a light fixture, that's not as ridiculous, but learn. Right? It's not difficult. I don't even like electricity. I do because it makes, you know, lights and stuff work, but I don't like getting shocked. You could shut off the main breaker. I mean, you could shut off the full main. Just power down the entire house. If you're unsure about it, hey, at the end of the day, somebody's calling you and wanting you to install a ceiling fan, so, you know, they obviously don't know what they're doing. So if you tell them, hey, I'm going to power down the entire thing, they probably aren't going to look at you funny. I would, but they probably won't. But so a handyman service, if you have some basic tools, if you have some basic knowledge, if you have some basic understanding of how to do small tasks around the house, then you can start a handyman service. You could start off small. You don't have to jump into any kind of major repairs, any kind of, you know, anything like that. Honestly, people shouldn't really be calling you for major repairs if you're a handyman service anyways, but they will. People will call you to build them a deck because you're a handyman, and they want a good price on it, so they don't want to hire the deck company. They want to call a handyman and pay him by the hour or something like that. And so just ignore those people. So handyman service, that's number 3. So the next one I was almost hesitant to put on here. The reason that I chose it is because it's a very, very low startup cost. It's very basic, very straightforward. You don't have to have any specific skill set, and you can make a lot of money doing it. A lot of people have made a lot of money doing it, and it's a good thing to get into, and that is pressure washing. Pressure washing has serious potential. Now, pressure washing, though, I don't think has the potential of the others. I would say that pressure washing, you're not going to, depending on how you scale it and where you want to take it, I think that you'll do better as a handyman. I guarantee that you'll do better applying roof savers, and I think that you'd even do better mobile car detailing. Pressure washing is a good business to get into if you're just looking for something to start up and generate some extra income. It's a good one. The startup cost, if you already have a pressure washer, then hey, that's fantastic. If you don't, you can buy a pressure washer. You don't have to get the best one out there. You can get a Ryobi pressure washer, a gas pressure washer. You know, I'd say $500 maybe, and that's basically your startup cost. Never really looked at prices on gas-powered Ryobi pressure washers, but I'm pretty sure that a lot of them have Honda engines, so they can't be too bad. Pressure washing is kind of a weird one because, like I said, I don't think that you'd make as much doing that as you would a handyman service, but at the same time, the scalability, I mean, there's pressure washing companies out there that are doing crazy money, you know, so it just depends on how you do it and how you scale it, whether or not you want to bring people into it. If you have a couple crews running around all the time, pressure washing stuff, you could definitely do some money. But even just doing it by yourself as a sole proprietor, there's still a lot of money to make. And the good thing about pressure washing is you can start off small. You can start off just like any of the rest of these. You could do it on your own time. There is a little bit of knowledge that you want to get before you start taking on just any job. For figuring out which tip to use, don't go and spray down vinyl siding until you know a little bit about how to do that. Right? Vinyl siding, you can destroy vinyl siding. Same thing with brick. A 3800 psi pressure washer will tear siding off of a house. Same thing with brick. It'll blow mortar joints out. So there is a little bit to know there, but to start off just doing sidewalks, just doing driveways and things like that, there's very little you're going to mess up. And like with the other businesses, if it's something that you're not comfortable with, if somebody calls you and wants you to do vinyl siding, you don't have to say yeah. It's difficult not to, though, because somebody wants to give you money for something. And that's something that you have to understand, that whenever you're in a service-based business, especially in trades, if it's something that you're really not comfortable with, even, I've turned down $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 jobs. I've been invited to build Walmarts. I've been invited through Procore to go and bid on Walmart builds, to build Walmarts and to build hospitals and schools. Well, I'm not doing that, right? It's not necessarily that I don't know how. I don't have the manpower to do it. I'm a small company. There's a lot of reasons that I wouldn't do it. I don't know what building a Walmart costs in terms of masonry, but it would cost a lot. It would be a pretty hefty estimate. I probably turned down millions and millions of dollars not going to those Procore events to bid Walmart builds or to bid hospitals. But the fact of the matter is, I'm not equipped to do it, and it wouldn't be good. It would be very bad. Even though it would be probably millions of dollars, it would be a shit show. So learn when to say no to a job. It is a very important thing, especially in services, especially in trades. So if you're in a trade, or if you're looking to get into a trade, stick to that trade. Don't try and sell people jobs outside of what that skill set that you have is. It's very important, and people will respect that. And listen, one thing that I want to stress to you is that you can do this. You can do it. You can detail cars. You can pressure wash people's driveways. Even if you don't get in anything other than that, even just the driveways, you can do it. I guarantee it. You can do roof savers. You can do it. I promise you can. We have to get this barrier to entry out of our mind. You don't have to be a professional pressure washer to charge somebody for pressure washing. You just have to be willing to do it. The fact of the matter is that most people that hire guys to pressure wash their driveway, they could do it. They just don't want to. Right? The people that hire a handyman, a lot of them can do it. They just don't want to. The people that hire you to detail their car, they could clean their car. They just don't want to. So you just have to be willing to do it. You don't necessarily have to be an expert in it. You just have to be able to do it. And you have to be willing to do it. And so there's a lot of other businesses that you can get into aside from the ones that I'm mentioning. I'm mentioning things that are kind of easy to get into. And so the fourth is pressure washing. Like I said, if you add something to pressure washing, like painting, you could do a lot better. But I think that you could do really well with pressure washing, and I think that it's something that you can get into. I know these things. I'm saying I know that these are things that you could get into, and you'll do well with. The fifth one is property maintenance. The bad thing about it is how vast it ends up being, right? So I've worked with a ton of property management groups all over the country. I've worked with some of the biggest. In fact, I almost sued one of the biggest property management groups in the country because they for some reason took 5 months to pay me on a net 30 job. Either way, I've worked with a lot of them, and I have a lot of experience with them. Some property management groups contract out everything. They contract out every single thing that needs done pertaining to the property. Most property management groups have a maintenance supervisor or somebody that's into maintenance for the property. And now these are usually maintenance guys that work with large buildings, right? Apartment units, apartment complexes, things like that. Or that work with a customer that has several duplexes, for instance. You know, if you've got 10 duplexes, you hire a property management group. It's a good way to kind of pass the responsibility of doing things to your group, to your property management group, and it eliminates your time sink in it. Now, a lot of times those groups, those property management companies, like I said, they'll hire out every single thing, everything that needs done, they'll get a contractor for. A small property management company, you can make a ton of money with. And the thing about it is that you don't necessarily have to manage the property. You might have to do basic things, but most of the time, what a property management group does is takes care of the responsibility of handling the contractors that are coming in and taking care of things. For instance, if the lawn needs to be taken care of, say it's an apartment complex, that property management group will be responsible for hiring a lawn care service, right? They would be responsible for hiring somebody to plow the driveway and to salt the driveway or the parking lot, depending on how big of a building it is. So a property management group basically just hires contractors to come and do things that need to be done around a property. Is at the end of the day, that's most of what it is. Some property management groups are much more in depth. Some of them handle a lot more, but you don't necessarily have to, and it's pretty easy. It's pretty easy to start up. You can think of a property management group almost like an agency. They provide a service that is paid monthly to manage things that need to be done with that property and to manage contractors that are doing it. And so most of it is just you hiring people for it. And you can make a lot of money doing that. And probably the best thing, the reason that I added that's a really weird one. I don't think a lot of YouTubers or anybody else is going to talk about a property management group. That's a pretty weird one. The reason that I'm adding it is because I've had a lot of experience with property management groups. I can't even tell you how many I've worked with. I've worked with some of the largest in the country. Like I said, I've worked with very, very small property management groups. I've worked with property management groups that just have 1 or 2 contracts. The reason that I added it is, first of all, because it's very easy to start up, and second of all, the scalability. You know, a property management group is something that you can leave to your kids. You can manage as many properties as you want to. You could bring as many employees in as you want. It could really be something big. One of the reasons for that is that car detailing, I don't think that most people do it under contract per se. So you're not going to go out and detail a car and then have the people sign a contract and say, yeah, I'm going to come back every 2 months and detail your car. If you're doing that, you're a boss, and that's a good idea. That's not a bad thing, but most people aren't doing that. A lot of people wouldn't sign that contract. You know, it's a little bit more difficult, right? With a roof saver application, that's a one-time customer for the most part, right? It's not like you're going to have them under contract to where you're providing a service every certain amount of time, and if you are, it's going to be every 5 years because the roof saver lasts 5 years. Pressure washing, it's like the guy doesn't know how long it's going to be before his driveway is dirty again, so he'll hire you whenever he needs you again. But with a property management group, you have these people monthly. They pay you monthly for managing the property. And so because of that repeatable income, you can actually start to put a value on the company. And you can actually start to build it and scale it in a way that's a little bit different from the others. And so, like I said, you could almost think of it as an agency, a property management agency. And there's a lot of potential there. Property management groups get really bad raps a lot of times. I've worked with so many of them that I looked into before I worked with them, and their reviews were like, they had 1 star and 40 some reviews, and it's like, man, I don't know what you guys are doing. But it's rough, right? If you can come in and do a good job and actually, try and help the property owner, actually try and make their life easier, which is what you're there to do as a property management group, or a property management company. That's what your goal is to make the life of the person that owns the property easier. And so if you can do that, and you can repeat that and do it consistently and get some good reviews and get some interaction with your business, first of all, if a guy in the area owns a bunch of properties, he probably knows other people that own properties. So word of mouth is going to be very powerful with something like that. And then on top of that, there's so many of them that just don't care. And so if you step up and you're in that business and you actually care and you're actually really trying to help these property owners, and not only the property owners, but the people that live in the properties and everything like that, I mean, you can take over that entire market in your area pretty easily. Yeah, so all of these things should be researched before you get into them. You should kind of have an understanding of what the demand is for something like that in the area. I think the biggest learning curve for something like that is going to be the ability to market it. And also the biggest cost associated with it is going to be marketing. And now what that looks like, I don't know. It depends on your area. It depends on the competition. I don't think it's going to be anything crazy. But yeah, so all 5 of these businesses these are things that you could start. All of them are very low startup costs. All of them are very low kind of knowledge base for entry. They don't require specific skills such as, a roofing company, right? Yeah, it'd be cool to start a roofing company. If you don't know roofing, it's going to be a little bit difficult. You could hire people, and there's ways to get around that, but for the most part, these are businesses that you don't have to have specific skill sets to get into, and they can make you a lot of money. Now, it's going to be difficult to scale any of these up into a $10 million business. Even the property management group, you're not hitting 10 million. I doubt it. Maybe any of, honestly, you could do it, I suppose, with any of them, depending on how you do it. But what I'm getting at, though, is that these aren't necessarily businesses. These aren't businesses that are going to get you a McLaren. They're probably not going to get you a Ferrari or a Lamborghini. You're not going to be driving a Bugatti because you're out detailing cars. And maybe you want a Bugatti. If that's your goal, if that's what you want, then go after it, man. But if you're working a 9-to-5 job and you're making 50 grand a year, you need to take a few steps there before you hit Bugatti status, right? These businesses could give you a start. They could give you a little bit more financial freedom to do other things. And at the end of the day, I mean, that's what a business is a lot of times. A lot of times a business isn't something that we're starting because we want to do it for the rest of our lives. It's just something for income, right? It's just something to get the ball rolling, to get out of that 9-to-5 job, to get some flexibility, to get some freedom, and that's that. You could have one of these businesses for a year, for 2 years, for 3 years. You don't have to do these things for the rest of your life. And to be honest, I wouldn't recommend doing most of these things for the rest of your life. You don't want to be 65 years old detailing cars, right? That would 70 years old detailing cars. You probably don't want to do that. I wouldn't want that for you. You can start a business, though, that gives you that kind of freedom, that gives you the opportunity to do something more. If you have bills and you have responsibilities and you have a full-time job and you're trying to get out of it, it's a good option. It's a good option, and that's how I would do it. But I'm just some guy in the woods in the damn snow. Either way, though, listen, I believe that you guys can do this. I truly do. I think that it's a lot of people put starting a business like on this pedestal to where it's a difficult thing, and in some cases it is. Don't get me wrong. If you want to start a multi-billion-dollar multinational corporation, yeah, I don't know, that's some stuff there. It's a lot of big words. I don't know. but to get into a handyman service, that's not hard. Literally all that you have to do is register it with the state, set up a bank account, so that whenever you get your first check, you're not sitting there looking stupid, not able to cash it because you don't have a bank account with a business name. And then advertise a little, and you're off to the races, brother. That's all that it takes. It's as simple as that. Just set it up a little bit. You could talk to a CPA before or while you're doing business, quarterly payments and yada yada, and all the stupid stuff, the stupid paperwork type stuff. But it's not that big of a deal. It's not that difficult, especially for a small business. And the only thing that's stopping you from doing it, most people, and the only thing that's stopping most people from doing it is a fear of failing, is thinking that nobody would ever hire them for a handyman, nobody would ever hire them to detail their car. Well, I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say you're wrong. If that's how you're thinking about it, and if that's your demeanor and that's your attitude, it's going to be difficult to do anything, because who would hire you for anything? So you just got to get out there and get it, man. 2025 should be your year. That should be your year. So don't waste it.